welcome to our first ever podcast. I'm so excited. And guess what? We've gone and done this live in front of an audience, so there's absolutely no pressure whatsoever. I just want to say a huge thank you to the National Lottery Awards for All England for funding this physical and digital safe space. And also a massive thank you to our guests and our co-hosts for appearing in our pilot series. We'll get talking to our guests about their lived experiences and sometimes hard to listen to truths. So respectfully, some of the topics covered in our podcast may be hard to listen to. But if you've been affected by anything spoken about, please find the support links you need in the description to each video. Now, before we start, we would love you to use your super digital powers by hitting subscribe, follow, like, and share, and even comment, because the more engagement we get, the more authentic LGBT voices we are able to share and hopefully help a listener like yourself feel seen, represented, and maybe educated. Shall we get on with it? Let's understand how our guests live authentically LGBT. So, Skye, for or against the word queer?
For.
Wow, straight in there.
Yeah.
All right, can we park that though for a second? Yeah. And I want to dig into this a little bit more. So would you mind telling us about your coming out story?
Yeah, sure. So I came out quite late in life. I was 27 years old when I think I finally realised who I was. And yeah, I mean, it was a bit of a rocky start because it was found out rather than me coming out. So I was almost forced out. But the person who found out gave me the space and the time to be able to then tell everybody else in my life on my own terms. So yeah, it was a bit of a shock start, and then I got the time to relax. So, yeah, I think just like anybody else, I was scared, worried. Yeah. I remember many times trying to tell my parents and almost having panic attacks.
You're at your parents at this point?
Yeah.
Right.
So, you know, I literally couldn't, like, I'd get up to go and talk to them, and then I just couldn't. It would just.
And how did you do that? How did you actually talk to them? Was it just a face to face?
Yeah, face to face. I decided to tackle them one at a time.
Tackle them?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I felt like it was too much pressure to tell them both at the same time.
Yeah.
So
I get that.
When they were separate, I told them one straight after the other. Yeah, I think I just got the courage one day. I can't explain how or why I decided that day was the day. I just was sat there and I was like, right, I'm going to do it. And I just went.
And you just did it?
Yeah.
Wow.
After, like I said, multiple previously failed attempts, I tried writing letters to leave for them, couldn't do that. So yeah, I think realistically, when it's the right time, you just find the ability to do it.
And do you think they knew on some ground, or did they not know at all and you blindsided them?
I blindsided them with being trans.
Okay. So what did you come out with then?
So they, I basically just went up to them and I was like, I've got something to tell you. I'm not a man, I'm a woman.
Okay.
And yeah, I think there was a little bit of shock in their face.
Okay.
They thought that I was going to tell them that I was gay.
Sure.
So they already assumed that part. But yeah, I think they didn't quite realise how different I was.
Okay. Who did, your mum or your dad take it better in your coming out?
I'm not sure. I think probably my mum.
Okay.
I think neither of them took it badly. I think that, I don't know. I just feel like my mum sort of took it in and had some questions. And I think my dad just took the information in. I don't feel like there was quite as many questions. I don't know. So I feel like maybe she took it a bit better than he did.
As a way of not understanding on his part, or as a not wanting to know, or?
I don't think there was any like not understanding.
Okay.
I think it was just,
processing.
Processing.
Sure.
And I think the other thing is when I decided I told my mum and then I went straight to tell my dad, and I actually made him pause a football match. So I think he might have been a little bit more interested in getting back to that than having a full discussion. So yeah.
And I know we've spoken about this before, but and I hope you don't mind me bringing this up, and obviously don't talk about it if you don't, but you've spoken about to me before about having to come out at the beginning, having to come out to new people all of the time.
Yeah.
So just talk to me about that. How did that feel?
Well, I suppose because it's such a big change, there's no way that you can get every person in your life into one place at once. And that feels a little over the top.
Send out a memo in one hit.
Yeah. Or like, create a wedding, but just to come out sort of idea. I had to come out over and over again to people. Usually that would consist of me knowing that I hadn't spoken to that person or seen them in a while. And usually beforehand, I would just send them a message and say, either say, I'm transitioning, or I'm going to look a little different to what you're used to me looking like.
Okay.
I mean, I had a great group of friends around me and they all took it really well.
Good.
I had no sort of adverse people in my life.
That's good.
So I think, I got quite lucky with that.
Yeah, nice. So for anyone that is listening to this now, hearing your story, is there any advice that you could give them if they are wanting to come out to their parents?
Yeah, I mean, the advice is don't push yourself and pressure yourself.
Okay.
You will come out when the time is right. And, you're probably fearing the worst. And there almost certainly isn't anything to be worried about. I'm sure your parents love you for who you are, no matter who you are. Yeah. And they will just accept that.
Yeah. So. I mean, we know that isn't the case all the time.
No.
But we would hope. We would hope that there's nice people out there, right? So while we're talking about your coming out story, is there a memory, maybe not linked to your coming out story, but is there a memory that you hold in your brain, valued, whether it's positive or negative, that might have impacted you even to this day?
Yeah, I think just in general, my positive memories from it is just how supportive my whole network of people has been.
Okay.
And I think that has been what's empowered me. Like all my friends at every turn just encouraged me to, keep going and just be me. No one ever judged me. So I think as far as memories go, that's, the best thing that could have happened.
And at what point did I meet you then? So you said that you were 27?
Yeah, so 27 is when the person found out. I didn't properly come out to anyone else for probably about another year and a half afterwards.
Okay.
We're probably talking nearer 29 before I properly came out.
Okay.
And I think, you met me about a year and a half into my transition journey, probably.
I didn't know you before. No. I only know you as Skye, right? Yeah. So then how, because obviously you've volunteered for Crawley LGBT when it was Crawley LGBT. Mm-hmm. And now that you're working for the company, how has that helped you as a person, first off? And then I want to dive into Crawley LGBT a little bit.
I think that it's just helped me by giving me another family of people that just accept me and embolden me to be who I am. I think that's where it's really helped.
Our team is so lovely, actually. Yeah,
and we're great.
We're great.
If we do say so ourselves.
We're wonderful. And we do so much that I think the creativity side in all of us actually joins us in unity. And I think having that support from all of us, my coming out story obviously is very different to yours and is probably different to other volunteers that we've got. But I think we have that commitment to each other. Yeah. And I think that's lovely.
Yeah.
Now you're a community engagement officer for Sussex LGBT.
Yeah.
How is that different to being a volunteer for what was Crawley LGBT?
I mean, more pressure. Takes more of my time. But I think most importantly, it gives me the ability to be able to play a more pivotal part in providing the services that we do. It also gives me a bit more visibility, which helps me sort of be that role model for other people.
Especially the trans community, right? Because I think you're the... what's the word that I'm trying to use? You're the trans lead within our organisation.
Yeah.
Which I think is so important to have. And we've got the Trans Social. Do you want to chat about that quickly?
It's a great group. It's just a support group for people, no matter where they are in their transition journey, to come and socialise with other trans people. Quite often, the people that we get are people that are quite new to their journey, and they're looking for advice and support and other like-minded people that they can come and talk to and feel normal.
We always talk about lived experience. That's a term that we throw around quite a lot.
Yeah.
So what does that term lived experience mean to you?
Just having somebody who's been through the same struggles that you are going through, and being able to relate on a level that is, closer to what they're experiencing.
And maybe that's why us as a team, from the volunteers all the way to the directors, that maybe that is why we're so close, because we all have that lived experience in what we're trying to provide.
Yeah, and although our coming out stories are different, I think that, we've still all had them struggles and they're all still fairly similar, regardless of how our journeys have actually gone.
Yeah. My coming out story is very simple, and I wanted it to be a little bit more dramatic, dare I say. So I actually came out on the chat rooms, AOL chat room. Is it AOL chat rooms?
Oh my God.
My mum and me had a computer either side of this glass door, and I came out to her on that. And then she literally opened the door. I thought the world was going to end. She opened the door and she went, "No problem, son. Do you want a cup of tea?" How brilliant is that? Oh. Now I talk about it, I'm like, that's fantastic. But obviously, I know that there are so many people that don't have it that easy, and I'm very fortunate to have that experience. But like you, I also had an amazing team around me that I didn't know at the time, obviously, a support network, family, friends. And really, did I know when I was that age? I didn't, because I was super naive. But having now looked back, yeah, definitely. So I'm going to ask you a question now.
Okay.
With Pride, obviously, Crawley Pride is our flagship event that we do every year.
Yep.
What has been your proudest moment, Pride specific, Crawley Pride specific, of yours?
Wow. My proudest moment from Crawley Pride. just being a part of the team that organises it.
Nice.
Being a cog in the machine. Like, there is so much that goes into it.
Yes.
And it's, I think some people misunderstand how much goes into organising an event like that. And I was the same beforehand, just the months and months of planning. But I think that's probably my proudest moment, being able to create them safe spaces for
because
people.
we have safe spaces within Pride. So it's not just one big site. There's the trans safe space within it, isn't there? There's the family zone. I think you're right. That's a good one to be proud of.
Yeah, and to bring that joy to so many people.
Yeah.
Like, to see what you've created afterwards.
Yeah, really nice.
Yeah.
So while we're talking about Pride, what does Pride mean to you?
To me, Pride is just a celebration for people, like-minded people, to come and experience togetherness and be proud of who they are. I think with Pride, it's just having that community around you and knowing that you're safe.
It's that representation, people, isn't it, I think?
And knowing that you're not the only one out there, because sometimes being in the LGBT community, maybe more specifically the trans community,
sure,
you can feel very lonely and isolated. Like, in my journey, I didn't meet another trans person until probably about a year into my journey.
Oh, really? Wow.
So I think that, having that sort of, that event where people can come and, meet and see other people that are like them.
I think it's about representation and education as well. Not in the school system, that's not what I mean, but just raising that awareness of certain issues that people are facing or challenges they might be facing. So whether that is on the market store area where they're able to get that support and they can talk to those people. I think for me, it's about keeping what Pride was way back when, rather than trying to turn it commercialized. Don't get me wrong, every event needs to pay its way, right?
Yeah.
It costs thousands to do this event, but and as a self-funded event, we know firsthand that that's really difficult to not try and get too commercialized, because actually you've got to be true. You've got to keep it real. It's got to be in the hands of the community. Otherwise it gets lost, I think. Yeah.
And I think what you were saying about going back to what Pride was, I mean, Pride started as a protest.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think there is an element of that as well, especially with what's going on at the moment.
Yeah.
The LGBT community being attacked again. And I think that, it is a way of showing face to say that we're here and we're not going anywhere.
Yeah. I think Pride gives people, maybe more so the younger people that have never been to Pride, gives people a bit of a superpower.
Yeah.
And that links to my next question. So maybe not Pride, but in your life, has there been a time where someone has not been particularly nice to you, that you have felt like you've had to hide something in yourself, in your true self, in your authentic self, that you now use as a superpower in your everyday life?
I don't think that there's been a person or somebody external that has done that to me.
Okay.
I think I did that to myself.
Yeah, you. Come on.
I think when I was younger, I was ashamed and not confident, and I quietened my own voice.
Sure, okay.
And I think now that I've started to learn that, I can be who I want to be, I've used that to boost my own confidence.
How? How have you done that?
Ignore the voices that tell me that I can't. really.
Okay.
It's not an easy thing to do. I've been through therapy, so I think that helped.
Yeah. Is that something that you would recommend to people?
I would absolutely recommend it to people. I guess I know that it's not for everyone. Not everybody wants to talk about their problems. But for me, it was very much a way of being able to sort out my own thought processes a bit better.
So you were your own cape if you're a superhero, you know what I mean? Like, I think Pride does that for a lot of the community. They come to Pride maybe just as that one day as their self, which is beautiful to see. But you know, at the end of the night, they're going to go home, wake up tomorrow, take that Pride cape off and not be able to live their authentic self. How can we help those people? You were able to do it for yourself, but I suppose not everybody can.
No. And I suppose the way that we help them is by what we do.
Yeah,
running
absolutely.
Pride, being Sussex LGBT, and being able to be that support for people so that, you know, when they can't see it in themselves, they have someone or somewhere to come to where other people can tell them that it's okay and that they've got that power.
I think then that the pod, which is where we're currently sitting with this fabulous background, created by yours truly, Skye, well done. I think this is the extension to the Crawley Pride Festival that people need. So I think if there is anyone that is listening to this, I think they hear that and they come here and they put their Pride cape on and they become that superhero. They come and talk to us and get that support. I think it's important for them to do that. All right. So I have another question for you now.
Okay.
So what truth about the LGBT world do you think is not spoken about enough?
I think a truth that isn't spoken about enough is quite how emboldened people have become to be able to share their hate for us to our faces.
Yeah.
I think, I think that's sort of brushed under the carpet quite a lot, you know, through lots of different sort of media outlets and social media and stuff like that. I think it's become quite acceptable to, you know, spread hate about the LGBT community.
Yeah.
And, you know, to the point where terms and conditions on sort of social media assets are being taken back so that hate speech is just seen as free speech.
Sure.
And allowed. Who
is allowing it? In your opinion, who is allowing that?
The people that own the companies. The media and the government, I would say, are the people that are allowing it. I mean, I know that we have been quite lucky recently that a new law has been put in place where, you know, hate crime against an LGBT person is now seen as a more serious crime than it was before. Yeah. Which I think is very much needed.
Oh, I wish that was in place a year or so ago.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's probably something that's not spoken about.
I mean, we see it a lot.
Yeah.
So obviously I've been with this company from day one. And oddly, though, in year one, we didn't see any hate crime online or in person. It was year two onwards that we saw it rise, and more so now with trolls, obviously. And I think you are right. I think it's not spoken about enough. And when it is spoken about, I think it's hushed about because people don't know how to react to that. People don't know how to police it. Not necessarily talking about the police in that matter, but even on your own socials. Think of the younger generation, younger than us, because, you know, we are so youthful, that are having to see all of that. That must be so triggering for them on a daily.
I know. And the damage that then does to the person who's seeing it. I mean, social media is bad enough for the everyday child sort of thing, but a child who fits into a more marginalized community, seeing that, and that's going to really impact their ability, their desire to want to be them.
Yeah.
Which in turn is only going to cause them more harm mentally.
Yeah.
So, we should be uplifting each other, not putting each other down. We should be uplifting
each other. I feel like we have gone a bit of a downer here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to uplift you, Skye.
Okay.
What is next for Skye?
What's next for me?
Yeah. What's next for you as Skye? Not necessarily work or what we do with Sussex LGBT, but what is next? I mean, it might be, but what is next for you?
In general, I just want to be more visible.
Okay.
Which I can gain through working with the organisation that we work for. So I just want to be there to be that support, and I want to reach a wider net of people.
Do you think you can do that through your transition, using your transition to be that platform?
Yeah, tell my story.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the only way to do it, really.
Yeah.
And yeah, just try and hear other people's.
So what about your transition then? What's next for Skye's transition? Where are you at with that?
So, I mean, medically, socially, sure. I would say I'm fully transitioned. Everyone in my life knows.
Sure.
I have a good network around me. I'm not worried about how I dress or present or act in public. Like, I'm quite used to that now after so many years. Medically transitioning, I have been on hormones for quite a long time.
Yeah.
And I suppose my next step is surgery, which is...
How does that make you feel?
It's a daunting sort of thought.
Okay.
It's not something that you take lightly. Not everybody wants surgery. I do. But I suppose a bit like most other surgeries you get, it's life-changing.
Yeah.
Not just like as a person, but like there is no going back. Not that I ever would, but it's just knowing that
it's quite definite.
Yeah.
You sure?
Any decision in life that's definite forever is daunting. So, I think it's just that. And, it's just all the stuff that comes afterwards with it as well.
In what, recovery, you mean?
Yeah, recovery and aftercare and stuff like that. So it's just,
I'm excited for you.
I'm as excited as I am, like, find it daunting.
Okay.
Like, like, that's not the takeaway from this. But it's a big thing.
It's huge. It's so huge. And I don't think you should ever play that down. Ever.
No.
And I think anyone that does is, they need a little word with themselves, because it's massive. Yeah. It's massive. It's what you want. It's what you've always wanted, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So at the beginning, I said for or against the term queer. You said?
I said for.
Why?
So I know that it's quite a controversial word within the LGBT community.
Yeah.
And I feel like the division is quite age-related.
Definitely generational.
Yeah, generational. I think it used to be used as a slur. And I think that's why it's hated so much by the older generation of the LGBT community. Whereas I think now we have reclaimed the word. And I think there's power in that. and you can't reclaim it without using it. Also, I feel like sometimes the whole thing with being in the LGBT community is wanting to be outside of the box that society tries to put you in.
Yeah.
And I think that, if you then go into another community and label yourself into one of these categories, you're putting yourself in another box. I think the word queer is a lot more all-encompassing.
Yeah.
It's more of a family. And I think queer is just a better way to just, rather than defining, because the other thing is the letters in the acronym, some define sexuality, some define gender.
That's what I was about to say.
Whereas queer is just almost like an umbrella term.
Sure.
And I think a lot within the trans community as well is because, obviously we identify with the T part of it, but depending on who you are as a trans person and who you were before, your letter, like the letters defining sexuality, they change. They're so variable. And as you go through a transition, that letter changes.
Okay. All right.
Not for everyone, but I found with me in particular, it changed.
Okay.
And yeah, I think queer is just an easier way of describing that.
Okay.
It's a bit broader and...
you have a positive connotation with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And I think that, people tend not to ask too many questions after that. If you say I'm gay, you get awkward questions. If you say I'm a lesbian, you can get awkward questions afterwards. You say I'm queer and people just go, okay.
That's a good take on it.
And I think the other thing with it is that the word queer means that you can be cis het.
Okay.
And still be under a queer umbrella with the way that you just express yourself.
Do you want to explain that term that you've just used for any listeners that don't know? Because there are a lot of terms in the LGBT world.
So if you are cisgender, which is the gender you were born as, and you feel that you are, and then heterosexual, obviously not part of the LGBT community, so to speak. And I think going from that, some people just like to play with how they look. They can be, straight and not part of the LGBT community, but just like to dress more
flamboyant.
Flamboyant, just not within the social norms. And that accepts them in.
But I think you've just said social norms, and I think that is probably the crux of this whole conversation, because for a community that wants to find identity and representation, I find that we are splitting ourselves into further boxes, like you were saying before.
Yeah.
Now, isn't that, whether it's, positively or negatively odd, but we are one community.
Yeah.
And now I feel like we're segregating ourselves from everybody else.
Yeah. And a bit like you said just now, do you want to explain them terms?
Sure.
For those that are listening. I think when you really, really go into LGBT culture, there are so many different terms, so many different labels. And it's you're already part of a marginalized community.
100%.
Why would you want to marginalize yourself even further than you are already? Just
And I think it's important to kind of say, right, that anyone that's listening, whether you are feeling like you're part of the LGBT plus community or not, and you're an ally and you're wanting to support someone, it's okay not to know. I don't know every term, and that is okay. Like the amount of time people come up to me and say, oh, what does this mean? I don't know. I mean, I probably do know because it is literally my job. But it's constantly evolving, it's constantly changing, and it's okay not to know. The problem comes is when you don't learn about it. If you find out a new term, go and find out about it, because that's the only way we're going to find representation for other communities. And
to accept that may not be your reality.
And that is okay. That's absolutely fine.
And just respect it.
Yeah. Kindness doesn't cost anything.
No.
And if someone wants to use she, her pronouns, they, them pronouns, he, her pronouns, what does it matter? It doesn't matter. Yeah. It doesn't cost me anything to call you what you want to be called. So that's my take on that. Got on my soapbox there a little bit, didn't I? Sorry.
That's all right. I mean, if you didn't get on yours, I was going to get on mine.
You can get on yours if you want.
No, I think you just about covered it.
So as my final question before we kind of wrap up.
Okay.
If there was a message that you could leave to anyone watching this, what would it be?
Learn to love yourself.
Nice.
Yeah. And don't be afraid. Find a community, because there is one out there for you, and we'll be here to welcome you.
We will be here to welcome you. Even if you're an ally needing to ask a question for your son, daughter, friend, we're here, right? So our drop-in days, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we say all the time, come in, ask the questions.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 till 4.
Plug, nice.
Yeah.
Then before you go, and I'm going to ask every guest this.
Okay.
And the next guest isn't going to know whose question is whose, but I would love you off camera to write a question for the next guest.
Okay.
Are you happy to do that?
Yeah, sure.
Yes,
of course.
Thank you so much for having this chat.
That's all right.
And for being the first one. Thank you so much for watching and listening to our podcast. And we are hoping that you are going to help us out by liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, all of the usual, because actually with your involvement, we might be able to continue this podcast and commission a few more episodes to help people like yourselves. I just want to reiterate that if you have been impacted by what we've spoken about in these episodes, then please do find the links to support in the descriptions below.
Got me upside down, spinning around you. Wanna taste